Hi, welcome to the Influence Women podcast. I'm Kathleen Cooke, your host, and I'm thrilled today to have Anna Zielinkski with us. She's a producer, director, and actress, and we're going to have a focused conversation on producing faith-based productions. You don't want to miss this one. Stay tuned. I'm thrilled today to have Anna Zielinkski with us, a fabulous actress and producer. And she's going to tell you a little bit about how you can produce programs that will be successful and resonate, specifically in the faith-based genre today. We've done a podcast, or rather a webinar with her just recently, and that will be coming out. So watch for that. So today, without further ado, I'm welcoming Anna Zielinkski. Anna has been in the industry for over 15 years, primarily in the faith-based genre of filmmaking with Pinnacle Peak Pictures and alongside producing partner David A.R. White and PureFlix Entertainment. She got her directorial debut in the Book of Daniel in 2013, but in 2014, Anna went on to be one of the producers for the faith-based hit God Is Not Dead. She's gone on in 2021 to produce several films and series, Dancer and the Dame, Hitting the Brakes, Courting Mom and Dad, Sons of Thunder Redemption, the series, God Is Not Dead, In God We Trust in 2021, and on and on. So you'll have to just Google Anna and all that she's done, and she's just been prolific. But her solid background and her wisdom and knowledge has propelled her to want to share that knowledge with you as someone who may want to be producing or directing in the future. She has great knowledge that she wants to share with us today and with you. And she has started her own online YouTube channel called The Producer's Desk. Welcome, Anna, to the Influence Women podcast today.
Hi, Kathleen.
Tell us just a little bit. I know you're in Los Angeles presently. As a producer, you're all over the place, as we all are. But tell us a little bit how you landed in LA. I know you started as an actress there, but have gone on to direct and produce. Tell us about Anna Zielinkski.
Yeah, my journey's been one that is definitely not linear. I'm from Louisiana. I graduated from Louisiana Tech with an accounting degree. And upon that, in that moment, I started to interview and I was like, I don't think I want to do this. So I got this notion that I thought I was going to go to LA to be a Laker girl because dance has always been in my heart. I'm definitely a creative that's 50%. I use both sides of the brain and I tap into either side at all times. Um, So that journey took me to San Antonio, where I got my first job and ended up dancing for the NBA. So didn't quite make it out to LA, which was a bit of a blessing because a young 27-year-old out in LA as a Laker girl, I thought you could make a living at that stuff. You get like $25 an hour, a game. So the Lord was like, intercepted me and was like, that's not going to be good for you. So I started off in San Antonio and I ended up injuring myself there, and that's how I stumbled into acting. I had a friend who was doing it and was like, "Well, I know you love dance, but maybe try acting." And it wasn't natural at first by any means, but I started booking things, which then took me to Dallas. Great like secondary market there where I was doing commercials and film and so forth. And I thought, well, I always wanted to come to LA. Let's go. So that's what brought me to LA 22 years now ago. And I've
Oh,
been fortunate to be in that small percentage that made acting, that was my living. And 13 years ago, I started producing for David White and PureFlix and was able to have the blessing of doing both. And so maintained both careers now. And here we are at a new crossroads in life where I've started the producer's desk and I have teaching on my heart and sharing all the wonderful knowledge that I've kind of gathered over the years for independent film and specifically in the faith and family genre.
Wonderful. Well, we love the films that you've been producing. We know they're important. We know that producing a faith-based film or a secular film all require the same elements. They
Mhm.
require excellence. So how do you feel qualified as a producer? I know you said you walked kind of into that door unexpectedly, didn't have anything of great knowledge to bring with you. You didn't go to film school. So tell us, how do we know if we could produce something?
Gosh, you know what? Producing is one of those things that you grow into it by doing it. So for me specifically, having graduated with an accounting degree, I could pitch myself from that angle in the way of, hey, I know numbers and we need a budget, don't we? Okay. And that's you, I mean, that's the anchor to your film, right? You've got to be able to manage the money. You've got to understand that. It's a huge part along with the creative. So I felt confident enough to start there and just build on that. Now, I also was very passionate about really getting into producing, and I offered to bring in financing on my first film. Had no idea. All I knew is I had family and friends, and if I could divide this amount by this amount, okay, that means this is about 5,000 for each of you. Who's in? So it was the passion, like wanting to do it. I had one bit of the piece of the puzzle and just a belief in myself that I was going to do this. Like no one was going to tell me no because I had to. It was kind of twofold too. I wanted to put myself into something. I wasn't My theatrical career wasn't quite where I wanted it. So I thought, well, I just should just do something on my own and then under like learning the process of producing. So to come full circle on your question, there's patience too. You have to be patient with the process because I certainly wasn't going to learn everything I needed to learn off of one film, but I was going to get a lot of knowledge. And, there's no one that hands you a certificate that says you're officially a producer.
Yes,
Congratulations.
exactly.
Even if you get that in film school, I've talked to these young little, I like to call them little chickens. They come out and they're like, yeah, I got a degree, but I have no idea where to start or what to do. Right. So it's all about experience than a job title. So, you know what, I think you have to be really like for this got to be thick-skinned. You've got to have faith in yourself and you have to know you're going to learn as you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I love the fact that you came as an actress and then moved into producing. And you said you needed to produce something so that you could actually be an actor in that production. How do you know when it's time to cast yourself in a production that you're producing and maybe not cast yourself in a production?
That's a great question, Kathleen, because our business is all about me, isn't it? Me, 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 me. And everybody's on their path to get what they need. And sometimes you have to remember, you have to keep in mind what's good for me and what's good for the whole. And then, what is the big picture and what is your goal as a producer? So initially, my goal starting off was about putting me in something. So I'm looking for a vehicle to put myself in. I'm going to leverage that in a way of, okay, I also bring money on this. So that gives you some sort of say in it. And that worked. Okay. But knowing that I wanted to continue on and have a career in producing because I really enjoyed that first film, I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, I think I love this more than being in front of the camera. So when I realized that, then my goals changed. Now it was about the good of the production. So if there were films that came in, I mean, obviously it's collaborative too because I'm working with other producers. I can't necessarily say, "Oh, I'm going to take that part," right? You're going to have to understand that, oh, if this is a lead role, if I'm going to sell my movie, am I a name actor? Well, no, you're not. Okay. Well, now I have to defer to the betterment of the whole project and go, oh,
Mhm.
we need to place someone in here that's going to sell my movie. So you definitely mature. If for longevity in the process, you have to make the decision on what's best for the whole project. Are you okay with personally being a supporting role or even a day player role just to kind of be there? Like, so again, my goals were I love producing more than acting. Um, on the flip side, I worked with David, and David's amazing, and David's a name in the Christian industry. So he was a lead in a lot of our productions, but that was good for the project because it sold the project.
Mhm.
So it's a balancing act, and you have to be very attuned to, I say, what's good for the whole project. And ultimately, as a producer, you want to sell your project. You want to get it out there. You want to recoup for your investors.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. I think sometimes we just have to get out of ourselves and what is really going to be successful and what does really God want for this project to move forward, that it needs, that we need to be in or out. And so yes,
Great.
absolutely.
And you realize how important it is to serve the story first as
Yes.
well. The
Yeah.
story that you're telling. Are you the best part for this role? And I realized, wow, there's some really great actors out there. And I realized I really watched them doing their thing than me trying to do mine. I mean, that realization didn't hurt me in any way. I mean, we have to be very real with our strengths and weaknesses, especially in this business, right? Because you have to be so confident with yourself because this business beats you down so much. There are way
Absolutely.
more no's. Like I know you, Kathleen, you're building this beautiful business. You're knocking on doors. You're trying to, build and build, and you're going to hear more no's than yeses. So it's about being strong in your heart and faith, and and really, asking yourself, how do I build the best project possible? And that's the growth that I actually fell in love with. And it was not just my part, you know.
Yes,
It-
yes. Well,
yeah.
focusing on the right genre of films that serves the needs of the audience, we know that we are now in a time of producing some successful Christian films, specifically for a Christian audience that
Mhm.
is demanding of us as producers, as talents, to be able to produce something of significance.
Mhm.
Um, However, what defines a faith-based film and the needs that that audience might be looking for from one that maybe a secular audience is looking for? Is there something unique about a faith-based film in producing it?
Absolutely. I mean, not to just put it into buckets, but it is a genre, right? And each genre has its specificity. So, specifically, faith based audiences I find are hungry for content that reflects their values, challenges their walk and encourages their heart. So, our stories matter to support that. And when they're done well, they're extremely powerful. It's a powerful tool for entertainment and ministry. And you know what? And producing for this audience isn't limiting. The sky is the limit. There's so many stories in the Bible, and there's been some really great content out there that shows that even turning back time with The Chosen or the House of David, like some of the series that are out now that are just hits, just show that I don't even think it's limited just to Christian audiences, right? Because it's still history and have done well. It's very intriguing. Um,
Yes.
so
And the
it's
Christian audience is growing, isn't it? I mean, we are really growing a genre or the Christian audience who are looking specifically for that type of artistic endeavors and content that is being produced. So,
100%, but it's
yeah,
an intelligent audience. I always feel like sometimes people, you know, maybe want to say secular audiences sometimes critique a faith-based audience as not being, I don't know, I feel intelligent or just, they just need to see Jesus and hear a couple of scriptures and that's it. And they're not. They know what they're looking for. Our values are not watered down. They're not something that just a box can check. Like, there's proof in it because being in that business, even with Pure Flake, there were some things that didn't quite hit the mark that we thought were great and some things that do. So you're still having to hone your stories and really hone in on, like I said, the essence or the mission of the story and really be smart about it. And the producers who have done that have done well with their projects.
absolutely. Are there certain rules that we have to follow as a Christian producer? Like, we can't have these kind of cuss words or this kind of sexual content, or, we can't go too far here. How do you work with an audience who basically, I mean, statistics tell us that the viewing audience of a Christian and a non-Christian is pretty much the same.
Hmm.
There's really, Christians are actually watching all the secular stuff as well, very much so. And non-Christians are wanting to float and to check out what's going on with Christian content. But are there certain rules that we have to go by and adhere to in creating Christian content? What's the baseline on those kind of things?
Yeah, you know what? Over the years, I thought there was. I mean, I was in the thick of it in the middle of producing back in the day, I felt like there were parameters that were put upon us when we would maybe even scout a church. Like you couldn't just walk into a cathedral, right? Versus a nice little chapel in the South. Like obviously it's clearly different of the architecture and how it was. There were some parameters given there and types of scriptures or whether we're using the Old, the New Testament. But I felt like as we evolved as a company and our audiences evolved, now I don't think there's a one size fits all. I think you really need to know the audience that you're speaking to with your story, right? So some faith viewers prefer clean content, and some are okay with grittier elements, right? If their redemptive arc is strong, I always ask, is this necessary for the story? And does it glorify or does it distract from the message? Be intentional, and every choice matters. And that would be the best advice I give now because you could clearly come up with content that has all of the elements of, like you said, strong language, even sexual content that still has a Christian message, right? And some things that are super clean and both do well. So I think the sky's the limit now, and just being honest, like I said, and asking the questions that I mentioned, is this necessary? Does it lift up our message or does it distract? So
Right. Yeah, great. Is there one particular personality that you would say is one of the maybe the single most important thing that you could possess as a producer? I laughingly think of Steven Spielberg years ago, and he was asked about directing, and he said, somebody asked him, "What's the most important thing a director needs to be a director?" And he looked and he laughingly said, "A good pair of tennis shoes."
I would
What
add that.
about what about specifically, working in the industry, we are still a minority as women. Is there something that we as women particularly need to have to be a successful producer? What would you say that might be?
I would say above all is own your authority and don't wait for permission to lead. So that's a hard one for women because we by nature tend to be submissive and we tend to be I grew up in a very traditional household, so I respect the hierarchy of a man and a woman. Now that doesn't mean that I'm not a strong woman, but when now I'm put in charge of this and I'm the leader, the producer, I would say it's the quarterback of the team. I love football, so I love my football analogies. Um, then you need to know your stuff. You need to know why you're there, and you're there to lead the team. You're there to take us all the way through and get us through this wonderful, arduous journey and produce this film and come up with this product at the end. And if you don't believe in that and know that, it's going to show. It's going to show in everything you do. And so another beautiful thing about women is like, okay, we have incredible intuition. We're
Mhm.
empathetic. You can bring that and grit to the table. It all goes together beautifully. But you have to walk knowing that your voice is valid. The moment you start second guessing that, your team's going to second guess you. They're going to feel it. And it's okay for you not to know. I've said this a lot. I said this in the webinar. It's okay if you don't know something because I started at ground zero. I knew one piece of like 100-piece puzzle. and I knew numbers. Great. I have no idea about the rest. But you can learn that, but you can learn that and keep your strength and understand how to integrate that gracefully through the process of learning. Because I'm a believer that we should continue to grow and learn every day. I don't know everything that there is to know about producing because guess what? The business still will evolve. Now with the advent of AI, there's going to be so many other changes to our world. I believe we can go in tandem with it. Well, I'm gonna have to learn that. I'm gonna have to grow and understand that as well. Don't be afraid of it. So I think, if you surround yourself with people who support you and not stifle you, then the sky's the limit.
Yes, lovely. Great. I totally agree with you on that. We have to be strong women, but I love the scripture in the Bible that we're supposed to be gentle as doves and sharp as snakes, right? We have to be we have to have the strength within us and be able to stand for what we know to be worthwhile and right, and yet be willing to say, I don't know the answer, but I'm going to find it out. And I'm going to, find someone who does know that answer and work through the process of producing because producing is multi-layered. Um,
Hmm.
and so you have to take just one day at a time, one thing at a time, and know that God's on your side and there's other people around you supporting, which brings us to why I love that you have started the producer's desk. Tell us a little bit about that journey and how we can participate in the producer's desk.
Yay. Yes, because I feel like this goes in tandem with what you're doing. So the producer's desk, I created that really to just demystify the process of producing and empower indie filmmakers with real world tools. I have all this knowledge that I've gathered, and I thought, well, shoot, I want to share this because I get questions a lot, and I've mentored people along in the process because I love nothing more than having, a handful of young, and it doesn't have to be young, just new people who want to learn how to produce on my projects. And I've had the best time when I can help them learn something or get them in the mix of some step of the film process that they've been dying to be a part of, whether it was camera or post or producing. And my heart would always feel so full in those moments, and it would make some of the harder times on set more palatable. So I would say it's a part talk show, part master class. I'm trying different formats because, like I said, teaching is to me is the best when I can just put someone on set and like practically show them, right? But if I can't do that, um, I want to share that through this medium, and I'm still exploring creative ways to do that. Who knows? I may do like a mock film or something. I'm always, because I'm constantly changing. My mind's constantly
Still
going.
experimenting, we have to be, don't we?
But it's raw, it's honest, and it's full of practical tips. So really, whether someone's really looking to, they're just starting out or they're looking to sharpen their skills, this channel is for them. It's for them. So you can find me on YouTube under the producer's desk. It's funny when I did this thing, the correct grammar is apostrophe s because it's my desk. But everything when I'm looking at domain names, you can't do an apostrophe s.
Yeah.
You can't put anything. So I want to, when this thing becomes huge, I know someone's going to go, it's supposed to be apostrophe s, Anna. You know what? It's every producer's desk that I've been so blessed to be a part of. It's all the knowledge I'm bringing to the table. So there you have it right there. But the producersdesk.com, uh, my website's there. I'm on Instagram under my name, Anna R. Zielinkski. But yeah, I'm really excited to be able to start this journey and see where that takes me. Happy to be a part of your organization too, to continue to help and foster growth with young women. And again, I keep saying young women, all women of all age, because I believe you can start at any time, right? There's no limit
Absolutely.
there. So
Absolutely.
very excited.
Yes, the influence women was started because of my heart and my passion to see women specifically in the industry be lifted up, be educated, be inspired, and specifically because women often feel so alone in the industry. You know, I
Mhm.
hear over and over again, I thought I was in this all by myself. There was nobody here to help me. There's nobody there to support me. Well, Influence Women is here to support you. So I encourage those of you who are watching to continue to look for our webinars, our podcasts like this one that we're doing, our in-person events. And you can get all that information at influencewomen.org. Check out on Anna's website as well, AnnaRZielinski.com for her information and the producer's desk. We're here to support you, to see that you are successful. God's called you into his perfect calling and purpose. And we as Christians know, as the first century Christians knew, that in order to be successful, we have to share. We have to share our information. We have to share our knowledge. We have to share each other with in order to create. And so that's what we're wanting to do. I love it. I love your heart, Anna, in sharing and in wanting to take all this information and the hard knocks that you've learned, even your failures and your successes, and turn it into something that others can continue to grow, that we can continue to use our skills and talents, our artistic abilities for God's kingdom.
Mhm.
I call it the four C's right now. We're called to connect to each other so we can collaborate to be able to create for Christ's kingdom. And that's what Influence Women is all about. It's been great having you with us today, Anna. I know we want more. We want to hear more from you. So again, I encourage our listeners to go to the producer's desk and connect more with Anna and connect more with us. Stay connected at influencewomen.org, and we'll see you next time for the Influence Women podcast.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Thanks for joining us today for the Influence Women podcast with Anna Zielinkski. I know you were inspired and educated and learned so much as I did about producing faith-based films. Join us each time at influencewomen.org for our in-person events, our podcasts, our webinars. Don't forget to like us and leave a comment on this podcast and share it with someone else. We want to see you grow in your work, in your career, and help support you in all that you're doing. Again, we'll see you next time for the next Influence Women podcast.